the nether.
Sorry, I mean, magma worlds. They're here. They're cinematic. They contain a frustrating mission type. Notice I said frustrating, not hard, because I'm not talking about the difficulty. And while this mission can be pretty hard, I think it's also a pretty fair challenge. But difficulty doesn't have to be frustrating. And while something can be tedious, it can also be easy at the same time. Annoying and difficult have two different definitions. So let's analyze it. What makes this mission hard? We're stuck in a small confined area, we have little to no high ground to cover, a short time limit, and the objective requires us to stop shooting for a bit. All of this is challenging, but can be overcome with the right loadout, skills, and coordination. If you aim fast and true, you can dispatch bots quickly enough. Coordinate with your team, and you can provide cover for the guy carrying the platinum. And if you're efficient, the time limit should be of no issue. So what's the frustrating bit? Oh, if you aim fast and true, you can dispatch bots quickly enough. Until, that is, you have to turn around for a few seconds to go pick up a bar, because once you turn back around, there's an entire battalion just waiting to ruin your day. Killing enemies in this game isn't hard, but when they constantly spawn right on top of you, it feels like the game just takes away all progress that you just made. In Helldivers 2, the number one thing that decides whether you win or lose a fight is distance. The farther away you are, the less likely the enemy AI is able to hit you, and the more room you have to breathe. But then all that space you earned means absolutely nothing if the game simply decides to take it away from you. Now, maybe that's the point. I mean, it is a close quarter scramble of a mission by design, sure, but if we were playing the rocket defense mission type and the enemies decided to spawn right on the generators, you would rightfully be upset. The point I'm trying to make is, if we get overwhelmed, it needs to be our fault, not the result of the game just deciding that enemies belong here. And this is something that Arrowhead needs to stop doing because it's not the first time this has happened. Remember the old Raise the Flag mission? Or how about Meridia? Remember the absolute chaos of how many enemies would spawn? Fun, right?
Wrong.
Sure, the amount of enemies was fun, don't get me wrong, but the flag mission was incredibly frustrating because, you guessed it, they would spawn right on top of the objective. The amount of enemies wasn't the problem though. A group of 4 Helldivers could easily kill all these guys, and with a variety of loadouts no less. The problem was that the enemies would spawn right on top of the flag, preventing the progress from being finished. All they needed to do here was just move the enemy spawn locations, and all they did was lower the amount of enemies that spawned, and they left their spawn location unchanged. Now the flag mission is easy, and still just as annoying. Great! Hey, editing Ricochet here. It is important to note that I have a friend who claims that the spawn location of automatons on this mission actually has changed. However, from what I can remember, they still can occasionally drop on top of the flag. I couldn't find any level 10 flag missions to test this out on and get footage for. I think the higher level flag missions spawn mainly on defense campaigns, if I'm not mistaken. But this footage is from a level 3, and they are indeed spawning a reasonable distance away. I wish I could test it out on higher difficulties and see if my memory is correct and that they will occasionally drop on the flag still, but there's none active at the moment, and I don't want to risk modding the game client, so, you know, I am inclined to believe my friend here, though. The problem I'm worried about is if people ask for enemy spawns to be reduced here, we'll have the same issue. Or worse, this mission will be over-nerfed just like the gunships. Seriously, please buff those guys, please. When was the last time they were threatening? I mean, come on. Instead of talking purely about enemy spawn rates, we need to shift the conversation over to enemy spawn placement. I don't want to have another easy but tedious mission on my hands. And this mission type has a lot of potential to be really interesting. Because the objective leaves the carrier vulnerable, it basically requires teamwork. Because of how many enemy types are shoved into a tight space, you need to coordinate with your team and have the appropriate people target the appropriate enemies.
Oh my god, hi YouTube! Solo silo.
Yes, actually, because what?
Will there be a
AT.
good place to hide it?
Enemies no longer target it, and if he's up there at the top where he was last time and all the enemies are towards us, he'll probably be fine. I mean, how many missions do we have where smoke strikes of all things are the optimal play? This is a mission that doesn't give you much breathing room because you can't run away, and all of that will remain true even if we shift the enemy spawns at the edge of the map as opposed to the player's forehead. It'll still be just as difficult, but much less annoying. It will feel better to play. And all the same tactics that work currently will still continue to work just as well in this environment. And there is precedent for this. During the Meridia event, Arrowhead moved the enemy spawns from right on top of the drill to next to the drill. It was still hard, especially with all the shriekers at the end, but much less annoying. Like I said, players don't like it when they feel like all their progress is erased due to the game simply deciding it should be so. If we can't control the chaos, then we should be choked out. But if we don't even get a chance to do so, the game simply stops being fun, even if we manage to still beat the mission. So, in essence, keep the amount of enemies the same, just move them slightly to the left. So we're reaching the end of the video, and just to make it very clear, I do actually really like this mission type. I'm the type of person who really wants some more, shorter blitz-style missions, and I'm glad that there's more variety of short missions nowadays. It is also one of the very few mission types that naturally incentivizes teamwork, whether people realize it or not, which is pretty cool. The point of this video is not to hate on the mission type at all, or cry that it's too hard, because I actually do think the difficulty here is fair and fun, honestly. But there is room to adjust it and make it much less frustrating and more fun while still keeping that same difficulty. I've seen people everywhere online talk about, oh, just reduce the spawns because that's the first thing they think of, but I don't want another flag mission where it becomes too easy, you know? Also, if you have made it to the end here, how is my mic quality in this video? This is the first video I've made with my new XLR setup, and I also taught myself how to properly use a compressor on the audio track, so that's helped a lot. If there's anything that you think I could still do better, please let me know. Anyways, bye!